Welcome to the Grand Theft World podcast, hosted and sponsored by the members at grandtheftworld.com. As you can see, I'm on the road. This is the not so sunny climes of a southern state. It's evening time. I'm using a family space. So I'm back for tonight, but I'm still on the road. All right. So I have a lot of news that we have to break open for this evening. We had a very successful, very independent producer summit earlier today. It went on for 6 hours. I'm a little overtalked for today. I'm going to read some of this chicken scratch that I have here on this note card so you have an idea of the breadth and scope of the news that we're going to discuss tonight. We're going to do some deep dives into the irrational news, and we're going to bring some reasonable views to such things by adding context, history, and making sure that we see the source materials, the clips, the things like this in their entirety and not little fragmented pieces like people get repetitively throughout the week. So this show is designed to help you make better decisions in life and better choices and judgments, and it takes a little extra work than what the herd is doing out there, just assuming that what they're being told is true, just like assuming the water you drink out of the tap is pure and clean. That's a big issue in the world right now. We'll get to stories like...
The FBI has for quite some time now assessed that the origins of the pandemic are most likely a potential lab incident in Wuhan.
The eugenics is just getting started. The elites managed to eliminate a fraction of the populace they must destroy through the virus and vaccines, surpassing the genocide of Nazi Germany.
All over the Western world, we are seeing very large, measurable increases in unexplained deaths. The BBC in Great Britain, for example, just reported that, quote, excess deaths in 2022 are among the worst in 50 years.
And does it damage the brain? You bet it does. Does it damage the heart? Yes. The liver? Yes. The bone marrow? Yes. It causes all sorts of harm in the human body. We should have stopped this before it ever started.
I'm seeing tremendous apathy. I'm seeing deaths, as you've mentioned, but no one seems to care. The family expresses no outrage. The obituaries don't mention the cause of death. It's just that, a 24-year-old died, and that's it.
The clinical trials were never ordered. The good manufacturing practice compliance was never ordered. And, legally speaking, there were never even clinical trial subjects or investigators, because if you cannot have an investigational product, then there is no investigation. So FDA leadership and then global regulatory leadership, what they did, they impersonated the regulators so that you fall for this lie and go get injected. Pfizer already in court stated that, please dismiss this case, judge. We did not defraud the government. We delivered the fraud that the government ordered.
However, their common goal is to reduce humans from nearly 8 billion people to a manageable slave populace of 500 million.
We cannot hide away from human population growth because, it underlies so many of the other problems. All these things we talk about wouldn't be a problem if there was the size of population that there was 500 years ago.
And so, even though the pandemic has been largely exposed as a manufactured event, the elitists push forward, hedging their bets on more genocide as their silent kill strategy stumbles through its engineered propaganda.
Countries will begin negotiations on a zero draft of the new pandemic accord. These discussions will be crucial for building a more effective health security architecture for the future, grounded in international law, equity, and the fundamental right to health for all people.
A public health emergency of international concern, or a FAKE, is defined by the IHR as an extraordinary event which is determined to constitute a public health risk to other states through the international spread of disease and to potentially require a coordinated international response. This year, in 2023, we may still be in a pandemic for quite some time because this virus is here with us to stay, which means we have to take measured action, we have to improve all of our system to be able to reduce the impact of COVID-19 as we go forward.
It's a global treaty. They want 127 nations to sign it, and basically does hand over kind of our sovereignty, there's no other way to put it, to what will be a kind of a global health police, and giving all of the decision making to the World Health Organization, which of course is funded by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation disproportionately, and their best friends, the Chinese Communist Party.
The contract of the new draft is against the Constitution of America, against the laws and protection of human rights of America, etc., etc., etc. the law in America says whoever conspires to aim or work towards the goal to undermine the security, the dignity, or the integrity of the Constitution of the United States of America is committing high treason. Find out who from your government worked on that draft and then go for high treason, then you have the army behind you.
The World Health Organization pandemic treaty is deeply concerning. It seeks to give the discredited WHO huge powers over this country and our people. Powers to call pandemics, enforce lockdowns, enforce vaccinations, and decide when any pandemic is over.
We know from the pandemic, and we know from other outbreaks such as Ebola, that these diseases know no borders, and it is only through international cooperation and collaboration together that we will arrive at the solutions to ensure we do not have a repeat of the last few years.
How long before those who know someone who has died suddenly or those injured by the vaccines strike back once the war on humanity is completely 100% out in the open? John Bound reporting.
You're not going to believe this, but I finally had to write it down. The Biden deepfake video surfaced this week. It was a pretty important one, and you got to say that the deepfake is actually better than the original in this case. It's very interesting to see with the technology that is unfolding, especially in recent months, what they can do and make a leader, a head of state, say in a time of like pre-World War III, 15 seconds to the doomsday clock ticking.
What's up, guys? Today we're playing Battlefield 2042.
Battlefield 2042. Did they finally fix this game?
Guys, I need help up on the roof.
Sorry, Bill thinks it's funny to keep spamming the elevator buttons up and down.
Oh, wow, a grapple hook. Now I can grab anything.
Hey, I think I hear something on proximity.
Я могу только так подняться.
I knew it. Guys, we have to win this.
Don't worry, guys. I've got a trick up my sleeve.
Guys, we're winning.
That was not a real video game of current and former world leaders playing Battlefield 2042. That was an AI deepfake using their voices to say anything that they would like for them to say. It's all fun and games when people know what's going on, but what about when someone gets their hands on it, they want to convince their audience of lies? Because, it's pretty easy to do. That happened with Turning Point USA activist Jack Probziak. I always mess up his name, so apologies there. He showed a deepfake AI, again, also of Biden speaking, except he actually had extra to it. Let's watch what he did here.
Putin's illegal occupation of Kyiv and the impending Chinese blockade of Taiwan has created a two-front national security crisis that requires more troops than the volunteer military can supply. I have received guidance from General Milley, chairman of the Joint Chiefs, that the recommended way forward will be to invoke the Selective Service Act, as is my authority as president. The first to be called in a sequence determined by national lottery will be men and women whose 20th birthday falls during calendar year 2023. Remember, you're not sending your sons and daughters to war. You're sending them to freedom. God bless our troops and God bless Ukraine.
What we just played for you was a sneak preview, an AI, I don't want to say recreation, but maybe a pre-creation of President Biden, designed and scripted by our producers here for the show, of what could happen if President Biden were to declare and activate the Selective Service Act and begin drafting 20-year-olds here in the United States. You would be the first to be drafted using national lottery. Do you understand the gravity of what we're talking about?
ESG, environmental, social guidance and governance standards, carbon credits, social credit scores. This has been an agenda the past 3 years. Parallel to the pandemic, they had the Great Reset going on. Well, this ESG thing is kind of eating itself. And Vanguard, who holds $50 trillion in companies that were adopting ESG standards, Vanguard has just now pulled the plug, at least on their piece, because they see it is not sustainable, and that go woke, go broke is what they're saying over there.
It turns out that Vanguard is pulling out of ESG. Did you guys see? It's a third of the global capital is out.
Really?
Yeah, pull this up, dude. This is like a 2-week-old article.
That's a big deal.
$50 trillion. They're not playing this game. They're going economic.
Human beings.
Well, this is Vanguard's CEO.
pulls out of the Net Zero Managers Initiative and affirms his fiduciary duty to clients. We should have. This is day one, top world class news. This is almost, it's like a week and a half ago. Yeah, seriously, this is them being like, "Hey, get woke, go broke. We lost too much money, and now we have no choice." Yeah, ESG's done.
A Republican bill to block pension fund managers from basing investment decisions on factors like climate change cleared Congress on Wednesday, setting up a confrontation with President Joe Biden, who is expected to veto the measure.
Joint resolution is passed.
The U.S. Senate voted 50-46 to adopt a resolution to overturn a Labor Department rule making it easier for fund managers to consider environmental, social, and corporate governance or ESG issues for investments and shareholder rights decisions. Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer accused Republicans of interfering with private investing by preventing fund managers from making their own decisions.
The Republican proposal, meanwhile, wants to undo that rule, and across the country, Republican state legislators are trying to punish managers who dare consider, on their own volition, ESG. Because the rule that the DOL has put in effect is completely optional.
The political battle marks the latest clash in a Republican war against what they decry as woke business practices that is likely to intensify as the 2024 presidential campaign gets underway.
We've really been fighting this woke agenda.
Two Democratic senators, Joe Manchin and John Tester, voted with Republicans. Both face re-election in Republican-leaning states in 2024. Republicans claim the rule, which covers plans that collectively invest $12 trillion on behalf of 150 million Americans, would politicize investing by allowing plan managers to pursue liberal causes, which they say would hurt performance. Representative Virginia Fox.
Due to Biden's reckless economic policies, too many Americans are worried about rising cost of living. Diverting retirement savings to fund social
controlled House of Representatives passed the bill on Tuesday. The White House has said Biden will veto the measure.
Fetterman feared brain dead. Not a good story, but we'll have to probably touch on that. There was a media meltdown because of Woody Harrelson's appearance on Saturday Night Live last week. Now, we brushed on it last week, but the aftermath had not yet appeared. And in the past week, it became very evident that all of a sudden, Woody's a bad man. So, a guy who made his name on Cheers for saying things that were kind of dumb, says something smart all these years later, but at a time when there's no political cost to pay for it. That's a free thing now, right? If he had said it 3 years ago, you'd no longer see him acting in movies.
Okay, so the movie goes like this. The biggest drug cartels in the world get together and buy up all the media and all the politicians.
Okay, this is all fact. We all know this.
Force all the people in the world to stay locked in their home.
That happened. That's a fact.
And people can only come out if they take the cartel's drugs.
Okay, there you go. Which part of this isn't true?
And keep taking them over and over. I threw the script away. I mean, who is going to believe that crazy idea?
See the people at the SNL.
That's New York, dude. New York is still heavy on.
Oh, they have no idea.
It's a low vitamin D city. Put it that way.
So, how long before you think they're going to start calling him a racist? Because they went after him. They went after him. Want to see? Woody Harrelson spreads anti-vax conspiracy. He didn't say anything about the vax.
Well, it's still technically an anti-vax conspiracy, which is stochastically anti-vax.
He's doing stochastic anti-vax.
I can hear when you're not fully on board.
I can tell you're not 100% in the cult. Woody Harrelson spews anti-vax conspiracies. Anti-vax. Is this the same person who works at these places? Woody Harrelson rambles about weed, anti-vax. Is it the same person? Do they all get a memo from their same billionaire owner?
Say ramble. First of all.
Yeah.
The important part is rambling.
COVID conspiracy Friday. Woody Allen makes model COVID conspiracy. So
by the way, he just stated the things that happened.
That happened.
You had lockdown.
Yeah.
They're calling him a cartel. Is that like the thing that's mean?
I guess. I just said, how long before Rolling Stone runs the headline, Woody Harrelson's a racist? Guess, He responded to that.
Who's Kanoka the Great?
What is this to? Who did he respond? What is Kanoka the Great to? How? What
I
did
couldn't
that?
understand when I saw looked at it.
Here, that's this guy. He tweeted all these, and then and then Elon responded to that guy by saying on target.
And you know Elon knows because he made a huge amount of money printing up mRNA during the so he knows.
And so and here's Woody Harrelson. He went on Bill Maher. Now Bill Maher, I've given him a hard time. I've copped to at least half of it is jealousy.
Right.
At least.
Well, with this stuff though.
But this stuff he's been good. So I give him his props. He's been great on COVID. I mean, not great, but he's been way better than the rest of the establishment
he had enough
media.
stones to say like I already took one for the team.
Yeah, that's it. I'm done. And here we go. Watch this.
Here's the CDC promoting that we have to do all of these things, right? I don't like profiteering in war. You know, think of the billions of dollars that have gone to big pharma. But I was getting back to my original point. The last people I would trust with my health is big pharma and big government, because neither one of those strike me as caring entities.
Spoken as the perfect redneck hippie. Really, if that message doesn't,
they're all about profit.
Exactly,
they're all about profit,
and both sides know that.
Seeing the profit they've made.
I think they've done a lot of studies about vitamin D and how important it was when the people who had low levels, they were much more vulnerable to COVID. Why not tell people that? Can't you make money selling vitamin D? Is it that what's the worst that could happen?
But that's just it, man. There was only one thing, ivermectin got made into a, horse tranquilizer, a horse, whatever it is.
Which it is, but also used by humans.
It's used by millions and millions of humans. Hydroxychloroquine got made ridiculous. And there was only one thing that could work, and that's the vaccine, right? And so ultimately, because of that, billions of dollars was made.
Fair points. Would have been a little more effective with shoes on. But I agree with everything he said.
It's winter. How could you take your shoes off in the winter?
I mean, that WeWork guy did really good with his stupid startup, and he was always barefoot. Maybe this will help.
Look how awake. I don't want to call him woke. I'll call him awakened. He says, we live in a completely corrupted world where every government is just a bunch of businessmen working for a bigger bunch of businessmen, and none of them give a shit about the people. The sad fact is no one knows how to change it because no one knows how to take on the corporations.
Oh, more conspiracies.
And yeah, I know. And just to let you know, so look at all the guy. Head of FDA goes to work at Johnson & Johnson. Head of FDA goes on the board of Pfizer. Head of FDA goes, I mean, there's a revolving door. Here they are. Oh, Reuters too. So they got the NIH, they got Fauci, they got the newspapers, they got the media, and they got everybody. And so this, who did this? I can't make out who this artist is, but this is fantastic. So everybody, if you stick your head up to see what's actually going on, they come on and they chop it off.
All right, to kick off tonight's event, let's go to Luke Radowski of wearechange.org and thebestpoliticalshirts.com. Let's get his briefing from earlier today. It starts out with a math problem being explained in 2 different countries. I'll leave it there. You'll get it in a few seconds. Hang out for tonight. We're going to have a lot of fun.
Think of it then in the context of, like, I like to think about a lot of things in the context of a Venn diagram. I love Venn diagrams. Always ask, is there a Venn diagram for this? I'm telling you, it's fascinating when you do. So Venn diagram, those 3 circles, right? So on this, the intersection between climate, extreme climate, right, which is going to be about, that's going to be also an intersection with human behaviors about greenhouse gas emissions, what we need to do around carbon capture, right? Intersection between that, public health, and then how we're thinking about in terms of the intersection between that and education.
Jeez, it, Lord Almighty. There's already a major IQ difference between the Chinese and the Americans, but with the way that things are going, we're absolutely screwed. By the way, also in China. And hey, they did say you will own nothing, have no privacy, and be happy, right?
Are you tired of online courses that put you to sleep? Want to learn in a dynamic environment that actually keeps you engaged? Look no further than Autonomy. Our community forum and live classes allow you to interact with like-minded individuals and get instant feedback and support. Our Autonomy navigator, Richard Grove, will guide you through weekly lectures, group Q&As, and integration exercises to help you reach your full potential. If you need more than that, we even have recordings of past class sessions and live events, monthly student-run events, and a podcast to keep you updated. So what are you waiting for? Join Autonomy today and take control of your education. Season 9 starts March 17th. Take the obstacle course and enroll now.